No, I actually am a first grade teacher turned entrepreneur. At one point, I was working 14-hour days and I sold that business. Business is meant to give you more freedom. Not hiring the right people or not knowing my numbers.
When somebody's hiring right now, what would you tell them to do? Interview how many people before they hire the right person? Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of What is Your Story, where we interview some amazing entrepreneurs, business owners, CEOs in the community, and in this case, coaches that can help your business grow to the next level. That's right.
That's right.
Today we have the famous Julie Seal Costead from JSG Action Coach. Did I do it right?
You did.
Woo, that's good. Well, that was a big word right there.
Yeah, you even attempted my last name, and it sounds better when you say it.
But you know what? So Julie, I'm so honored to have you on the show, honestly,
Thank you.
because
I'm happy
I
to be here.
think a lot of people will be inspired with your story, right? And also with the tips and motivation that you're going to give them. Let's start from the top.
Okay.
What is your story?
What is my story?
Yeah.
Oh, thank you for asking, and thank you for having me. It's delightful to be here and to just, it's always fun talking to you, but now we get to have everybody else see, this is what happens when Willis and I get together, just jabber. No, I actually am a first grade teacher turned entrepreneur. So I went to school to be a teacher like my mom, grandma, great-grandma, my great-grandpa, even that was what was in my blood, right? So it's all I knew, really. And unfortunately, during the early 2000s, if that dates me a little bit. And it's funny to think oh my gosh, that was 25 years ago at this point as we're recording this. But anyway, so I got in during budget cuts in California. So every year I would have to reapply and re-interview and get rehired, and it was just not stable.
Yeah.
So I ended up getting into marketing communications at San Diego State University at the Research Foundation. And all the while I was doing brand ambassador work on the side. So if you go to a Total Wine or a Bevmo and you'd see somebody handing out samples, that was me.
No way.
Yes. And I loved it. I loved being in front of people. I loved getting people excited about the brands. And now thinking about this was early 2000s in the era of, MySpace and social media and things like that. So when I would be out in person, people would come up to me and go, oh my gosh, I've seen this, I've heard about this on the radio, or I've heard about this brand on TV and social media and connecting with people. And so they would be so excited to see us there. So, what began as just a side hustle, as most businesses do, I ended up starting my own brand ambassador company, Mirus Promotions. And ultimately when I sold, it was Mirus Agency, but started my own company with one client the beginning of 2009. And it just grew organically. And I was able to leave my full-time job, I think about a year-ish later. I went full force into my experiential marketing company and grew it organically on my own. But again, I didn't know what I didn't know. So I made, big mistakes and had to learn from them and whatnot in true entrepreneur form. But at the same time, I really found our niche, which was having brand ambassadors who were educated on the brands and who knew how to sell versus just showing up and passing out coupons and not really talking to anybody. The word got out. And so my business continued to grow. At one point, I was working 14-hour days and taking my phone and my laptop on vacation with me.
That sounds familiar.
Yes. Something had to give. I wasn't healthy and wasn't really taking care of myself. I didn't have time. And so I had a friend who was working with a business coach. So I asked for an introduction because I didn't know what I didn't know. And I was tired of just trying to learn on my own and having access to someone who could help me ask the right questions and help me actually create a plan and set goals and ultimately learn how to build a business that didn't have to rely on me. And so I worked with her. I started working with her, and year over year, doubled in revenue, profit, team, ultimately grew that to a nationwide level and had about 150 part-time employees in California and hundreds of part-time contractors across the U.S., over 7 figures and working, 25 hours a week and in the parts that I loved and taking vacations every year. And I built that to a point that I wasn't passionate about that business anymore, but I was passionate about business.
Nice.
And being able to, I sold that business, and now I take the skills and frameworks I use to build and sell that business or to get it to work without me to other business owners to show them business is meant to give you more freedom. and more
Yes.
life and fuel your personal goals. And you have control over what that looks like versus being in a job where somebody else is determining the future.
I love
right?
that. That's so
Yes.
true.
Yeah.
That's so true. But before we get to that, tell us about some of the mistakes that happened in your journey
Yes.
to become so successful, and what did you learn from them? by the
Sure.
way?
A key mistake, and again, I like to say there's no failures, right? As long as you learn from it. So it's these mistakes or these learnings, these lessons. Some of the early on were, not hiring the right people or not knowing my numbers and my financials enough to understand that I could invest in the right person or the right people. So, I had a number of mishires in the beginning. I didn't really have a hiring process. I didn't really have a recruiting process. And so it would be a friend of a friend who was looking for part-time work. And so I'd be like, oh yeah, and I had a how-to that I could teach them, but ultimately they weren't necessarily the right cultural fit, or maybe they weren't the right fit for that position, or maybe at one point it wasn't even a position that I necessarily needed. Those kinds of learnings, and in building out actual recruiting, hiring, training, onboarding processes, hiring for culture fit, hiring for character, not just skill, I think is the huge lesson, as well as not waiting to hire or fearing hiring because you're not sure if you can afford it. It's more of like, how do I make sure that I can afford this, that the business can sustain this, and knowing your financials to be able to do that.
A true coach right there speaking. So when somebody is hiring right now, what would you tell them to do? Interview how many people before they hire the right person?
So I think even before that is, your time is valuable as a business owner, and time is our most valuable asset, right? You can always make more money. You can't make more time. So I would say even before the interview process is, what is your gatekeeping process for people to even get to you? Because as the owner, if you're still screening people, if you don't have somebody screening people for you, then you need your system, your recruiting system, to screen people for you. So when you are putting together a job post, one, making sure you understand what is the job, what are the duties, who is the person a good fit for this position. So what is their personality type? What is their character like? Because somebody who will be great in a sales position may not necessarily be the perfect person for a data entry or behind the scenes job, right?
Right.
So who is the perfect personality for that? What's the job description? What are they going to be doing? What does success look like? And then you can create the ad for that, because recruiting is marketing. So when you're posting your ad, don't just ask them for a resume and a cover letter, because everybody looks their best on their resume. We all look pretty perfect on a resume, as long as you don't have any grammatical errors. But what are the gatekeeping activities that they need to be doing to be able to even be considered for an interview? So asking questions like, send us your resume in your cover letter, or send us an email with your top 3 things that attracted you about this position.
Yeah.
And I guarantee at a minimum 50% of the people that apply are going to completely ignore that. And you delete, right? You want somebody who's going to pay attention to detail, somebody who's going to be enthusiastic about the position. So looking for those things ahead of time, I think, would be even before the interview process.
I had a company in the Bay Area, and I remember I put out an ad for just a secretary, right? Somebody to answer calls and stuff like that. I had 80 resumes come in. And me, as a busy business owner back then, I was like, oh my God, how I'm going to sift through all these 80 resumes. I don't have time for this.
Yes.
So I called the first 3 people. I don't have time. So I called the first 3 people, and then they came over, and one didn't show up. And then I think I asked them 2 questions, and I hired the second person, and that was a big mistake. And, she quit after 3 days.
Yes.
And I wish I had you as a business coach back then. I would have paid you any amount of money to help me in my business, honestly.
Well, look, I'm here now. No. Well, yeah, I think too, in my first business especially, we're hiring brand ambassadors, and they're part-time. They're working maybe 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours at a time, unless it's a trade show or something like that. Also, what set us apart and why we could charge a premium is because we had these recruiting and training processes for even our part-time tip to hire people, right? We knew who we wanted for those positions, and we had an interview process and all that fun stuff that we could screen people and really hire the right people for these positions, which our brands, we're working with some big brands, appreciated about us.
No, 100%.
So,
All right. So after you sold your company, right, did you take some time off? Did you go on vacation? Or did you go start your new business and new venture right away?
Oh, Louis, it was a whirlwind. all of that. It was the summer of 2021. Make a long story short, I'll try. My business closed August 2021. I'm an action coach, and so I had to get certified. I went to Las Vegas and did a 5-day, really intensive training certification program. That was in June of 2021. So I technically started my second business in June, sold the other business. It closed in August, and all at the same time, we had to move out of our home in San Diego because we were renting for 7 years and they wanted to sell.
Wow.
So all in the meantime, looking for a home in Temecula and coming up here every weekend and ultimately closing on our home about 2 weeks after I closed on my business.
Oh my God.
So to answer your question,
time off?
To answer your question, sure did it.
Oh.
But the following year, we went to Maui.
Oh, that's my favorite island.
Yes, it was so beautiful. And it was the first time Dylan had been there, and he still was like, when are we going back to Maui? And I'm like, tomorrow?
Your son
Yeah.
Dylan? Okay.
Yes.
How many kids do you have?
Just the one.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Part of Maui did you stay at?
Oh my gosh. Where were we?
Kanapali?
No, we were at the Westin. So wherever the Westin
that's
was.
Kanapali.
Is it? Okay. Yes. Yeah.
That's a beautiful area.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what made you move to Temecula?
Oh gosh. My husband and I, we've always wanted to live up here. We would come and visit on our anniversary and stay overnight at, shout out to South Coast Winery, thank you, and the villas. But we love staying up. But every time we came up here, it just felt like
just
home.
Beautiful, yeah.
Yes, and it was beautiful. And driving up from San Diego, and when you come over the hill where Temecula Creek and golf course is, and you just look out, and it's like, especially when there's snow on the mountains, and it just felt peaceful.
Yes.
And we had heard about great communities up here, and it was a time when our son was in preschool, but we were going to be starting him in TK and kinder. So wanted to be where we were going to set up shop, right? So when we were renting, and of course you have the plans in your head where it's, I'm gonna close. We're gonna close on the business, and then we'll wait a year, and then we'll go buy a house. They wanted to sell the house we were renting, so it was like it pushed us to do it sooner, which I'm so glad, as the market has shifted so much. But the community, the scenery, just the wineries. Yes,
we're so. You have a favorite winery?
Close. Oh my gosh, I have favorites for different reasons.
Okay.
So
share with us.
Yes. So I love Peltzer. It's family friendly, and they always have, like right now, they have the ice rink at the time that we're recording this. And, my son, he loves ice skating, of course, so do I, but just the feel of it. And they have the pumpkin patch, and it's just, you can bring in your own food and just hang out. And it's really cool. And then Altissima, I love.
Oh, yes. I love Altissima.
Yes. Just the views and the people and the wines, the restaurant, Gaspar's is great. Europa, I love because there's different tasting rooms that you can go to. But again, all of the wines
it's like three
fantastic.
Wineries into one.
Yeah. And so that's really fun to take guests coming in from out of town, and, get the passport. You can take them all around. But those are probably my top three. South Coast is just a staple, I think, in the community. It's like one of the OGs.
Right.
So I do enjoy going there as well. I haven't been to some of the smaller ones, but I've heard good things about like Chapin, and I've been to Delfo. I know you like Delfo as well.
Nice.
Yes, yeah.
Can you believe it's December and it's 80 degrees out there?
No, I cannot.
Oh,
yeah, don't be fooled by our long sleeves.
It's too hot. I should have wore shorts today.
Yeah, I know. I'm like,
all right, so let's go back to your business. So
yes.
Tell us, what you do with your action coaching now for a typical business owner
Sure.
or a typical business. What do you do to help them grow their business to the next level?
Thank you for asking. So, as business owners, we always have all these ideas, right? We have ideas and we know what we want to do. And often when I meet a business owner, it's because they have all these ideas and they just don't know the how. Or it's like they know they want to take their business, they want to grow their business to 7 figures, or they know they want to have a business that's ultimately an asset, or maybe they can sell in the next 5 to 10 years. So ultimately, it's understanding what you want personally, and then designing the business to fuel those personal goals. So the business owners that I work with are typically 6 figures wanting to get to 7 figures.
Okay.
And just don't know the how. And then also 7-figure businesses who are looking to continue to scale sustainably.
And ultimately sell it, maybe.
Yes, ultimately sell it. But for both, and service-based businesses are who I typically work with. But ultimately, it's getting the business to give them more freedom. So freedom of time, money, choice. And what we work through ultimately is typically all around profitability, cash flow, empowering teams, empowering them in their leadership, as well as, systems and marketing, making sure that they know their niche and that they have a strategy behind the growth. So not just, growing for the sake of growing and kind of winging it. It's what does growth look like, or what is the ultimate outcome, and then working backwards. And typically it's in those buckets of planning, cash,
right,
systems, and team.
How long do you work with the client?
It varies. I have some clients that have been with me for 3 years.
Really?
But so I would say on
That's
average,
awesome.
yeah, my clients are with me about 2 years. I've had 3 businesses at this point sell in their work with me, which is pretty cool.
I was just going to ask you,
Yes.
Can you share a success story that a business that you helped and they sold their business?
Yes. So I guess I'll share one in particular. She had a tutoring business for about 15 years. And again, similar to my story, she had grown it as far as she wanted to take it.
Okay.
I wasn't really passionate about that business anymore, but was ready for the next thing. But when we started working together, she was still very heavily involved in the business. And she's doing 7 figures, a very profitable business, but just totally so burnt out, and still working in the business, and still had her hands and everything. And there were some mindset shifts, because ultimately that business was her identity, which often happens, right? We are our business. This is our baby.
I know.
Right?
It's exactly what happened to me.
Yes. So it's separating yourself from the business,
Yes,
right? Like,
yes.
yes, I'm Julie, but Julie does not equal JSG Action Coach, right?
Right.
It's separating the person from the business. What do you want? Or Lewis is separate from Service Zoom, right? So what does Lewis want? And how do we build Service Zoom to a point that it continues to fuel those goals? And I know I've said that a few times, but that's kind of what it always comes back to, because it's separating the two. In any case, there was, some mindset shifts, and ultimately, getting her to a point where she was ready to separate from the business and really started building out the systems. She built these beautiful SOPs, I think in Notion she used, and then empowering her team and hiring a manager to manage those people, an office manager. So ultimately she was doing most of the sales and marketing before she sold. And I introduced her to the broker that I worked with, and he valued the business at a certain level, and she actually ended up getting over asking.
Wonderful.
So multiple 7 figures, sold that, and now she's traveling all over with her husband, and
Oh, wow.
they're adopting dogs, and she's living her next best life. So that is one success story.
That's a great success
that it's
story.
just coming in like, okay, if you want to sell in for her, it was the next 1 to 2 years, what are the areas of the business that are still very owner dependent that we can start removing the owner from, which makes it more valuable?
Yeah.
So
It's amazing that what happened to you in your journey, now you're, and you became so successful in your own business, and now you're helping all these other businesses become successful and ultimately, hopefully, sell their business to 7 figure. Actually, I mean, that's the ultimate dream. Why would you have a business if you can't sell it?
Sure. Well,
Right?
every business has an exit, whether by default or design. When I start working with some business owners, and I'm sure I said this myself at some point in the beginning of my journey, is, well, I love what I do. Why would I want to do anything else?
Exactly.
Right? So growth and success look different for different people, but at the same time, you're not building a job for yourself. You're building an asset that you could ultimately sell or get passive income or leave a legacy or whatever that means for you.
That's awesome. All right, so let's talk about Julie a little bit.
Yes.
Julie, what's your morning routine look like?
Oh, my morning routine. Oh, I didn't get to do it this morning because I had a 7 o'clock meeting. I'm like, I can't wait to get back to that tomorrow.
I missed my coffee.
Yeah, no, my morning routine, I wake up before my son and I go downstairs and I make my coffee, and then I read first I journal. I've been really good about journaling lately, but I journal just for a little bit. I'll journal about what I envision in my future,
Nice.
or journal just through thoughts that are swirling. Even your coach has swirly thoughts in her head, and just getting them to paper, or I'll journal at least a page of everything I'm grateful for. So taking that time to journal, and then I read either a business book or a personal growth book for as long as I can until my son wakes up. And then once he's up, he usually lets me read for a little bit longer, but then it's like, okay, time to get ready for the day. And then we get everybody ready for the day.
So what's your favorite book? I know you read 50 books a year?
Oh my gosh, yeah. Oh my gosh, my favorite?
Or maybe your 2 favorites?
Gosh, there's so many. Okay. So I would say personal development wise,
Yeah.
I think The Big Leap is a great book for business owners. I think for anybody to read, but especially for business owners.
Why?
His author is Gay Hendricks. He talks about how we have this upper limit problem, and maybe you've done this before, but you start to experience success and your mind or your past experiences or old beliefs will start creeping in and being like, well, it's not always going to be this way, or it could go away tomorrow, or remember when this happened. And so he talks about, recognizing those thoughts, acknowledging them.
Like doubt.
And then, and then either moving on or like, what could you shift or what could you ask yourself instead? Because you do deserve the success. So I think that was a huge one. And then, oh my gosh, there's so many business books. One that I read recently, Benjamin Hardy, The Science of Scaling. I think that's one that sticks out that I've read this year. It also was pretty recently. So I do a blog though.
Oh, you
yes,
do?
I do a blog every year. So watch for that.
Is that blog on your website?
Every January. And I reflect on my top business books and personal development books that I read the prior year.
Nice.
And I put them in buckets of, finance, system and team, marketing and sales, and personal development. So those would be my recommendations. So watch for that every January, jsgactioncoach.com. I would say business-wise, Science of Scaling. Benjamin Hardy, he works quite a bit with Dan Sullivan,
yes,
who's the 10X guy, but he actually talks about the science of scaling. And it's very systematic and these different buckets that you need to look at to be able to scale, which of course is cash, team, and planning. So
what's next up for Julie?
Oh my goodness. So
what? Yeah. Since it's December, tell us a couple of goals you have for next year.
Yeah. So good thing it's December, and I just had my 90-day business plan workshop. So I've already started to think about this. But yeah, so next year I would like to do more speaking.
Okay.
So my goal, and I'm putting this out there, y'all heard it. I went to Tony Robbins' UPW in October. One of my clients took me, which was, how do you ever repay your client? And she says to me, I said, I don't know how to ever thank you, like words. It can't put into words what that event does for you. And she said, well, we're better together. And I'm like, yes, we are.
Is Tony Robbins your mentor?
No. I follow him. I had never actually experienced his event before, and it was definitely life-changing. Highly recommend it. But in any case, at that event, when you're peak state, at first I was like, okay, next year I'm going to make an impact on 1,000 people.
Yes.
And then you're like in your peak state, and I'm like, screw that. 10,000 people. I'm going to impact 10,000 people. If Tony Robbins could do it, why can't I, right? So then I get home and I'm like, how the heck am I going to impact 10,000 people in a year, with private coaching? So how I envision that, we're going to be more getting on stages and being able to speak to the masses and inspire the masses.
Yes.
My private coaching, my workshops that I do quarterly, as well as I offer, paid masterclasses and complimentary seminars, business growth seminars. But also it's not just those people directly. It's their team that they're impacting.
Yes.
It's a ripple effect. It's their relationships. It's their team's relationships and friendships and things like that. So it's more of the ripple effect.
Yes.
So I'm thinking, while I may not be able to actually pinpoint or measure that 10,000, a goal, you set a goal for the person that you become in the process of achieving it. So I'm thinking like, what do I need to be doing differently or better or more of to be able to have that impact? So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
I know I had you speaking on one of my events.
Yes, Leadership Summit.
Level Up Leadership Summit. And definitely you're invited to come on it again.
Thank you.
100%. So just by speaking on the events like that and doing podcasts and, doing your workshop, you definitely will be impacting more than 10,000 people next year. Yeah. I can't wait to, follow your journey, Julie.
We'll talk next December and I'll be like, it was actually 11,000. No.
Maybe before December.
Maybe before. In June. I'll be like, how you doing on that?
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So let's just have fun a little bit. Tell me, what's your favorite, drink? Coffee or tea or wine? You like wine?
Above. Coffee.
I always ask coffee or tea, but I know you like wine, so I had to put that in there.
Oh yeah, yes, for sure. So coffee, yes. So coffee, I'm really into the ice cold brew right now, of course, because, it's December, 80 degrees still.
Yeah.
But cold brew with the cold foam on top.
Ooh.
Oh, it's just just the straight up bitter coffee.
Delicious.
With the sweet on top. Yeah.
Do you make that at home?
No, I do lattes and regular coffee at home. My treat to myself, like after yoga or working out or something, is that I do drink tea during the week. In the evenings, I have my special teas that I like. And then yes to wine. Right now I'm red, like a medium bodied red that's super tannic. Like it needs to make you go after you drink it.
It's like a good cab or something.
Yes.
Or Merlot. So tell me about some of your hobbies. What do you do for fun?
Oh gosh. So as a family, we enjoy traveling. We play a lot of games. I have an 8-year-old, so we're always playing games. Crafting, baking. My son loves to do all of those things. We go hiking. I love hot yoga. I think it's like the most effective hour that you can have. So I love hot yoga and strength training and walking and things like that. Reading, of course, wine tasting, hang out with friends.
Love it.
Yes.
Love it. One word can describe your business. What would that be and why?
Oh, that's a good one.
It could be 2 words. Okay, I'll give you a break.
Yeah. One word to describe my business? Well, I guess it would be hyphenated, but I would say life-changing.
Life-changing.
Yes.
Any last-minute tip or motivation that you can share with the audience?
I would say when times get hard, because they will, that is life and that is business. And even with a coach, right, there's still, the more you know, and the more that you know that you don't know about business and you learn as you go and as your business continues to grow and you transform as a business owner, have a word in mind that's your why. When you're going through what we call a break apart, get back to your why. Why is it? What is your purpose? Why is it important for you to move forward? Why is it important for you to figure this out and get to the other side? In the lesson in it, whatever it might be, because it's important to keep going. It's a season, it's a moment, right? And the businesses that are long lasting and outlive, whether through sale or legacy or what have you, are those that had some hard times and got through them and learned from them and were able to transform and pivot.
Great advice, Julie. Why don't you turn to the camera and tell everybody how they can reach you if they're struggling or something, they might want to call you to help them, to take their business to the next level. Go ahead and share your phone number, your email, etc., whatever.
My website is jsgactioncoach.com. I'm also on Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn at JSG Action Coach. It just starts with a phone call. So, we'll talk for maybe 15 or 20 minutes and I'll ask you some questions. And you don't have to be struggling either. I work with business owners that do a lot of things really well and they're looking to see how they can continue to do things better. So, if you're stuck on something or you want to figure out how to do XYZ or how to reach what seems to be an impossible goal, I would love to chat. Thank you.
Thank you, Julie, for coming on the podcast.
Thank you for the opportunity.
I think you're going to inspire a lot of people, that's for sure.
I hope so. Thank you.
Thank you guys for watching. And we can't wait to hear your story, you guys. We'll see you on the next one.